All right, welcome to another episode of Ruthless Obsession. I am your host, Kevin,
And I'm
and this
Scott.
is, there you go, we're still a little clunky there. Bringing you all of the sports arguments the world absolutely, positively needs to hear. Um, we were just talking about off air, Juju. You mentioned Juju. What do you think is going to happen to Juju? I know this is a little off script for today, but you mentioned how he's a bit of a punk. Do you think he's going to stay with the Steelers?
I think he's a punk. I think that he's a new generation of attention starved athletes that care more about their personal brand than they do about winning a football game. So
That's right.
so I honestly don't care where Juju goes. I think wherever he goes, he's going to be mediocre at best. Um, he's not going to. I don't think he's going to resign with the Steelers. Maybe he will. I don't know, but I could see him like being just a wannabe Des Bryant, like not even as good as Des Bryant, but I don't know. No love for Juju. What do you think? Where do you think he's going to go?
He's not a team guy, right, Scott?
Not a team guy.
Not a
No,
team guy.
no. He cares about his TikToks more than
I
anything
don't
else.
care about Juju at all. That dude's a punk. I don't like him at all. And you did call him something. I can't remember what, but I don't know. He's a slot receiver I, he'll be good wherever he goes as long as he gets a
Yeah,
good quarterback.
yeah. He'll
Like
he'll go to like San Francisco, and him and Jimmy G will run around,
I
and
said,
he'll
good quarterback. I mean,
what?
could you see him? Couldn't you see him extending Aaron Rodgers' career for like 3 more seasons?
There's no chance in hell he's going to Green Bay.
Oh,
No
that's not
way.
what I'm saying. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, couldn't Green Bay use a player like him?
No, because they have Devontae Adams. There's so many
And
other there's so many other receivers they could go out there and get that would be better than Juju. Juju's not that talented that he's going to extend Aaron Rodgers' career. There's no way. No way. Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be fine with his own career. He'll be good regardless of the receivers that are around him.
there's no way. There's no way. Just
No
so
way.
we have that on record. There's 0 way.
But
There's
No way to
zero
be
way.
had.
The Packers do have some pretty good young guys. Lazard is
Yeah,
good.
sure.
I mean, he's gonna be really good. So I don't know. I don't really want Juju on the Packers. I'm fine with Devontae and Lazard.
Juju is a poor man's Jarvis Landry.
They're different play. You're smiling like you don't know if that really tracks.
I was looking at both of you guys' reactions. You guys were just like looking off to the
Well, I'm
side.
thinking about that because I like Jarvis.
Jarvis is
He's
good, but I'd rather have Jarvis than Juju.
That's fair, even though Jarvis is like 7 years older.
Yeah, I know.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, let's quickly do a quick run around for all the sports news that's going on. Nothing that I'm not breaking anything, obviously, but we mentioned hockey in the last episode or two. I have been following my Minnesota Wild. They're up to a really good start, but I don't know how long that'll last. Have you guys watched any Pens games?
Only here and there. They started off really really bad. I think they won 3 in a row recently. Uh, had some they have some goalkeeping troubles because they obviously didn't keep Fleury a long time ago and got rid of Matt Murray now. So they're just they got some serious holes
Has
there. I think
anybody?
They've
Yeah, go
they've
ahead.
given up 21 goals in 5 games. It's a
it's a
lot.
Has anybody calculated? I remember last season for baseball, MLB, they calculated like if you won 3 games in a row because of the shortened season, it's almost like having a 10-game winning streak. Has anybody calculated that for
I think
NHL?
I don't know the exact number off the top of my head. Someone did. I think 1 win is the equivalent of like 2.5 or 3 games.
All right.
So if you and because everyone's only playing people within the division, it's pretty significant. So if you lose 2 in a row, that's like a 6 or 7 game losing streak, which is you don't want to do
Have you guys landed on a team yet to really follow?
for hockey.
Yeah. Gotta do it now. Gotta do it now.
I mean, for me, it's really easy to just fall into following the Pens. I mean, every single sports radio that I listen to locally is like all Pens all the time. So,
It's all Pens
like,
right here.
yeah, I mean, I think I just would say I know the most about the Pens, but I wouldn't mind trying to branch out and find a different team. Um, so, yeah.
I would like to root for a Canadian team, but I'm not sure which one because I just can't get behind teams that are in cities that never have snow or ice. I feel
Mhm.
like they shouldn't even have a hockey team, to be honest with you. Like, you put more teams in Canada, and that'd be cool.
Yeah.
I just like, okay, the Tampa Bay Lightning, yeah, they're so great, whatever, but they live in Tampa Bay. I mean, they have to manufacture all the things that they use to practice. Like, there's no one grows up in in the swamps of Florida, and it's like, you know what? Damn it, I'm gonna be a hockey player when I grow up. Like that's not. And maybe there is one, and you know what? Good for that guy. If that one guy that did it, but no one does that, so there shouldn't be a team there. I
I mean,
want to.
I'm
I
I'm
want.
I'm with you. I'm with you. I no hockey teams south of the Mason-Dixon. I mean,
That's right.
I mean, you have all the best teams are northern anyway, aside from the Lightning. But if you're thinking Canada teams, um, the Maple Leafs are really really good, but they're that team that has that postseason curse on them. It's been like over 2 decades or something since they've won a first round, matchup in the playoffs. It's been
Like,
pretty bad.
aren't pretty much like all the Canadian teams have a major curse and they haven't won in forever? When was the last Canadian team that won the Stanley
It's
Cup?
been a long time. I think might have been the Canadians, but the Senators. I know from the whole 2000s, the first decade of the 2000, with the whatever. Um, the Senators were always facing off against the Pens in the playoffs. Like that's the matchup I remember the most as like a young sports fan, kind of not really paying much attention to hockey, but I'm Pittsburgh, so the Pens were always playing the Senators. So they had a couple years there where I think they were good. But yeah, the Canada team hasn't won the cup in a long time.
Yeah.
But if you're gonna choose a team and get locked in, now's the time to do it. I mean, season's early, lots still to happen, but jump on, dude.
We'll play this by ear as the season goes, but I think early on I'm gonna need to do some more research, but like the Winnipeg Jets or something like that might be
We
kind of
should have a
cool.
reveal show. We should
Okay.
have a reveal where both of you
I
just
like
lock
that.
in, and even if it still depends, we'll lock in on a team, and we could do this for other sports because I try to watch everything, even though there's a ton,
I
but
would
yeah,
also like to choose like a soccer team that I really want to like get into and care about,
MLS or European?
just all over the world. Just
it's
find
tough.
find any soccer club that you want to just become like, that's my team. I root for them no matter what, you know?
So me and my buddy, I think maybe 2 years ago, went through all of the EPL teams. There, even some of the currently relegated teams, went through all of their history and kind of did some like soul searching on which EPL team felt the best to follow. And we were going to choose a team together and go all in. And I'm really glad we did that. And Scotty, you'd probably really enjoy that because you're a big European, UK history guy,
That's right.
but we landed on Liverpool. So like but the problem is that especially being in the US, I mean it's not impossible to watch the games because they just happen early in the morning.
Just gotta wake up.
You just got to wake up. But a lot of the other teams, like you have to find streams for them because they're not going to be on NBC Sports or whatever. So that's the only challenge with European soccer. But in the US, I went to the very first NYCFC match in Yankee Stadium, the very first game they've ever had. So as long as MLS stays around, that's my team, even though I don't follow them all that well.
I like it. It's
I
pretty good.
suggest you guys do the same.
We're gonna do that. One of our topics for a future podcast will be the reveals of all the sports that we don't have, all the sports that we don't have like solid, like, hey, this is we're gonna do it for each one, and we're gonna become super fans of all those teams.
Australian
Oh,
football, here we come.
I
All in,
can't
man.
wait to become a super fan of a golfer. You have to pick a golfer and you just have to ride or die with that golfer. Let's
I feel
go.
bad. I already have all of these things. I won't be able to
Well,
contribute in
I
all of
mean,
those episodes.
but you can still like name yours. That'd be fine. Like you could
Yeah.
talk about, why you decided to follow him just like you did for, MLS team, but
And we'll put all this stuff. We'll put all of our lists of our teams on our social media, our
oh
Twitters,
yeah,
and all that stuff.
it'd be
Gotta
Perfect.
have
great.
it.
Gotta have it.
Cool.
All right.
The last thing before we get into our main topic is I just wanted your initial thoughts on McGregor. I mean, the dude came back, hadn't fought in a long time, been out of the sport. I think there were some political reasons why he didn't get fights. He's also kind of going through some domestic violence stuff, I think. But of course, ESPN's not talking about that. Shots fired. But
they would only talk about that if he was being drafted for the NFL, and they would talk about it right after he got picked, in the second round or whatever. And they'll talk about all the tragedies that his family suffered as they rejoiced that someone got drafted in the NFL.
Who are you mad at?
I'm mad at ESPN because they can't let just people be happy on draft day. They got to talk about all the worst moments of their lives right after they got picked.
I think McGregor actually did have some like domestic violence stuff that he's working through. So it's a bit different than a rookie draft pick whose dad battled cancer and they're like feeding off of the grief or something like that. Yeah, that was a pivot, Scott.
It was a pivot, but you know what? You can tell that I'm very heated about that topic.
I guess so, yeah.
Like come our draft day podcast, you'll be hearing from me about that topic. So, anyways, I'm not surprised that he has some type of domestic issues because he's a freaking MMA fighter. All they know how to do is move their fists and kick. Like, I mean, that's how they resolve conflict. So yeah, of course he didn't use his words and beat somebody up most likely or gotten some type of altercation.
Although I feel like you're a bit unfairly generalizing.
For sure.
I as an entertainer, I really like Conor McGregor just because he's got the best mouth in the business.
Dude, even after he gets knocked out, he's still talking shit. He's still like, everybody come and fight me. If you want a piece of this, like, let's go. It's awesome. He's super entertaining.
He should make a run in the WWE if he's that good of a talker.
He would be great. Well, he's a little bit unscripted for the scripted WWE.
Maybe he'll be exactly what that organization needs. A little bit of unscripted chaos.
I'm sure it'd be better than Ronda Rousey, who was like a vanilla ice cream cone. It's so plain and boring. Actually, I like vanilla ice cream cones, so I don't know why I said that. Sorry.
Yeah.
Ronda Rousey was boring. That's my point.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Okay. You guys want to get into it?
Let's get into it.
All right. The big news that actually just broke yesterday, I believe, so that would have been on the 23rd of January, was Matt Stafford and the Lions. I might get some of the language wrong, but basically they, as the Lions are going through an overhaul of their front office, both the Lions and Matt Stafford agreed to part ways. He's still under contract for, I believe, another year, maybe 2 years. But they've agreed to be open to any trade offers that either his agent or they can work out with another team. So I guess just not going through every single team that needs a quarterback, but I don't know, just what are your general thoughts on Matt Stafford as a player and what's the number one team you'd like to see him go to?
I think that Matt Stafford is probably one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL, given the situation and the environment that he's always been in his entire career. He's always played for a very not great Detroit Lions team. I mean, they've had flashes of success, but he's always played in a tough division with really tough teams that were really good. I mean, having to play the Packers and the Vikings 2 times every single year for the last 5 or 6 years, that's tough for anyone, let alone a team that in an organization that never seems to get it together like the Detroit Lions. So I think you take Matt Stafford, he's 33 years old. He's got 2, like you said, 2 more years, pretty team friendly contract, I think, for the value that he would provide. I think he's going to make a team great. He could take a team that has a decent roster and is missing a quarterback to playoffs for sure. I'm thinking the biggest one right now, if I was the GM of this organization, I would do whatever it takes to get him, the Indianapolis Colts.
Oh, I was not expecting you to say Colts.
I think if the Indianapolis Colts went out and got Stafford, they had some success with Phillip Rivers. I think Stafford is a huge upgrade over Phillip Rivers, only because of where Phillip Rivers is in his career relative to where Stafford is. I think that roster with Matt Stafford at the helm, the tough, gritty, like, hey, let's blue collar quarterback, let's get it done. They will make it deep into the playoffs next year if they get him, and he's worth a first round pick in my mind if I'm the Colts organization.
A first round pick?
That's what they're reportedly. That's what the Lions are seeking for Stafford as a first round pick,
For
and
a
I think there'll be.
33-year-old guy.
And I think with 2 years on a deal, but I think a team that is ready to go, that is just missing a quarterback, I think it's worth a first round pick to get him to take your team deep into the playoffs.
I don't know. I mean, I wasn't thinking the Colts, but now that you say it, I mean, I think it fits. I mean, I will say we agree a lot. It sounds like on just the quarterback Matt Stafford is. I have always liked Matt Stafford. The dude's tough. He can make any throw. He's got a big arm, even though he's kind of like skinny fat because he's got a round face. The dude's athletic. He can move around the pocket. It's really he really is impressive. He's just always been on a loser. So um, I've always said, being a Browns fan, I've always compared my situation to the Lions and been like, I'll take Matt Stafford in a heartbeat. Maybe not so much now, but for the last, as long as he's been playing, I've always been a fan of his. So I like the idea of the Colts because you're right. They've got a really good defense. They've got a lot of good offensive weapons, even though T.Y. Hilton's kind of meh. But I don't know if I feel good about a first round pick for someone who's 33, who probably, given all of his injuries and stuff, probably has 3 more good years. I mean, that's probably the cap there, but I think if I were Stafford, the team that I would want to go to. I mean, I've got a couple teams that I would be excited for him to go to, but Cam Newton was only on a 1-year deal. So let's talk New England. I mean, could you see Belichick? I mean, we all kind of thought he was trying to do it with Cam, but Cam's a very different kind of quarterback than the style of offense that Belichick and who's their OC? McDaniels.
McDaniels, yeah.
He's very different. But Stafford, I mean, more of a pocket guy. I don't know. I mean, we were talking about Andy Dalton could take the Patriots to deep into the playoffs. Imagine if Stafford was there.
I was also going to bring up Patriots because, like, Belichick always gets, like, good offensive linemen, really can protect the quarterback. And, like, with Stafford's arm, I mean, you give that dude time, he's going to find the end zone a lot. No question.
Don't disagree with anything you said. The only thing I would say is I don't know if the asking price of the Lions is a first round pick. I don't see the Patriots giving up because they're picking like 11th or something like that. There's no way they're going to give that up to get them. And there'll be another team if the Colts are drafting like in the 20th pick in the first round. You telling me if that one pick is all you needed to get a quarterback for 2 years that is a solid proven starter that's gonna it's worth it. I mean, who are you gonna draft instead? What's your biggest need? What are the Colts' biggest needs? It's quarterback. And you're not gonna get
because they literally don't have one. But I will tell you, and Nick, our other brother, would tell you also, who's a big Colts fan. He likes Jacoby Brissett. I mean, the team likes. I know. I'm not saying that he's the solution or the answer or whatever, but they like him a lot. They ran him even when they had Rivers this year. So maybe
we saw a full season of Jacoby Brissett at the helm,
and he was fine.
And they went like 6-10. What do you mean fine? Like,
that was like 2 or 3 years ago.
It was last season. It was literally last season.
Was it?
Yeah, and then they signed Philip Rivers to a 1-year deal, and they went to the playoffs. You get Stafford, you're going to go to the AFC Championship. Sorry, Andrew, go ahead.
No, that's fine. I was going to say, could you guys see him going to, like, the Bears?
That's the other team I was thinking.
I mean,
in the division, I mean, he's got. I mean, well, the big thing with the Bears is Allen Robinson's been looking for a contract for a long time. They haven't given him one, not a long-term one anyway. So I don't think they're going to franchise him because I think they might have franchised him last season. But either way, he's been very, very public about they're not even talking to me, or they're just not getting anything done there. So if they had Allen Robinson for sure, then that would be really interesting because he's really good with Stafford. That would be a pretty good team, even though I'm not sold on Montgomery yet as a running back. And I don't really know what other issues they have as an offense, but the defense is good.
That would be a solid place too. Another place that I think would be really good. I don't think this is likely, but a thing that I would just love to see is Matt Stafford going to the Las Vegas Raiders and playing under Gruden. I think Derek Carr's time needs to be done in Las Vegas. He's done all that he can do. He'll never take that team any more than what they've done. Stafford could take them to the playoffs too, and boy, wouldn't that be a fun team to watch in the playoffs with John Gruden and Matt Stafford and that solid team that they've kind of gotten built. I think they could make some noise.
All right, you're officially putting your stake in the ground on the Raiders will never do anything with Derek Carr.
Yeah, for sure. As long as Derek Carr plays for the Raiders, they will not make the playoffs. Period.
Well, they almost made the playoffs this year.
Yeah, almost. When they expanded it to 7 teams and they still didn't make. I mean, there's no way.
I get you. I haven't been a Derek Carr guy. I mean, I just think Gruden likes him a lot. You know, we
Gruden
haven't
likes a
talked
lot of
about
Hmm.
who do you think will get a new team first, Stafford or Deshaun Watson?
I think Stafford will, and here's the only reason why I say that is because I think that there's so much talk and conversation and uncertainty around who's actually going to take over the Texans organization. And so they're gonna get that figured out first before they decide what to do with Deshaun Watson. Meanwhile, Detroit already has Dan Campbell, which I don't know if you saw his press conference,
Oh my gosh.
but they clearly have an idea of what they want to do.
It makes me watching that again. It made me feel like all of the developments the sport has made just digressed to like 30 years, 40 years, just caveman style. Put your hand in the dirt, and it's ridiculous.
right. That's
Man
right.
Campbell. I mean, the dude is like he's. I don't want to say he's a meathead because he might be a smart guy, might be a good leader or whatever. But how do you interview that guy? Because you got to imagine that's the stuff he's telling the owners
Oh, for sure.
in his interview.
Yeah.
So like taking a kneecap and you're gonna have to punch us 3 times in the face.
We're gonna get our butts kicked, but each time we're gonna get up and bite a kneecap on the way up.
That's right. We're gonna get destroyed every game, but you know what? We're gonna be angry about it. Like, okay, yeah, okay.
Oh my gosh.
I
Yeah.
feel so bad for. I mean, and talk about such a stark difference between Man Campbell and Matt Patricia. I mean, the dudes could not be more different.
Totally different. And that, I mean, I would imagine if I'm a Detroit Lions fan, hearing the first words that he says, where he's like, "Yeah, I'm not just gonna give the whole same old talk, like, oh yeah, we're gonna, this is gonna be a new year." He's like, no, we've stunk for a long time, and now this is we're gonna change. We're gonna punch people in the mouth, and we're gonna gnaw on patellas and all whatever it is. Like, it. I could see them like getting kind of excited about that right now, and then they lose 4 games, the first 4 games of next season, and they're already gonna be calling for him to be fired for sure.
We'll see. I mean, you don't go through this big of an overhaul, getting rid of your franchise player, getting a whole new head coach, a very different kind of head coach, without buying in and, I don't know, planning on giving him some leeway, especially as they kind of wade through the muck.
Yeah, they have to, because what is this Lions team going to look like next year without a quarterback? I mean, when do they draft? What's their draft order? Do we know?
Oh, I think they might even be top 10.
They might be top 10. But like,
yeah, I mean, they've got some talent on offense. I don't know about defense. I know they had
picked
Slay, but I think
7th.
Slay went to
7th.
Slay went to the
Yeah.
Eagles. Yeah, 7th. I mean, I don't know. I feel like the Lions have 2 or 3 running backs that could be starters on other teams, but because they're on the Lions, they're in a timeshare and they're terrible because their
Yeah.
offense is just bad. So, and Galladay didn't play hardly all season, and I think that he's looking for a new deal, unless they just re-signed him to a big deal.
I'm not
Either
sure.
way, I mean, he's the only. I mean, Marvin Jones, okay, he's like one of those Mohamed Sanu guys, but
Yeah.
yeah, Lions football. That's what everybody wants to hear about.
I do think the Colts probably makes the most sense though, because if the Lions are looking for a first round pick, the Colts picked 21st, so their top 3 needs are quarterback, cornerback, and wide receiver. So you're giving up your 21st pick for Matt Stafford. That's pretty good. So
Yeah.
I mean,
And
I
you could
could see
draft
that.
corners and wide receivers all throughout the draft and still
Yeah.
get good value in those positions. Meanwhile, you gotta have a quarterback,
Yeah.
and the Colts roster right now is built to win. Now they're not built to let's just wait it out for 2 or 3 years for a young guy to develop and let's find our guy. No. They've got a team, especially if Deshaun Watson gets traded out of Houston. There is a vacuum in the AFC South that a Matt Stafford led Colts can just tear through. Urban Meyer is going to take a long time to rebuild down there, and who knows how he's even going to be. A college coach in the NFL. The Texans are just this awful quagmire right now with their organizations in shambles. And I can't even remember the other team that's in the AFC South. It's so bad. Oh, the Titans. The Titans are okay, and but like a Colts led by Matthew Stafford. Oh my gosh, they will run through. They'll win. They'll win 6 games guaranteed in the AFC South with Matt
Not if
Stafford.
Trevor Lawrence has anything to say about it. Okay, last thing on Stafford. Which teams do we really not want to see him go to? Like the
Pittsburgh
one
Steelers for sure.
I
Sorry, go ahead.
thought about the Steelers. Yeah, you did cut me off. I thought about the Steelers, but Ben is planning on coming back another year, and they just signed Haskins, which who the hell knows. But I don't think the Steelers will do it. Also, because they are, I don't know, they are uppity and they probably want to draft their own guy. But I was thinking that I would feel so bad for Stafford if he ended up on either the Broncos. I mean, can you see him I could see him. I can see him up in the with the Broncos, and I would just feel so bad for him because that team and that coaching staff, like I just don't see it
I could see Elway
happening.
trying to get him too.
Elway. Well, Elway's taking a back seat. I'm sure
Ooh.
you saw that.
I did see that. That's true. That's a good point.
But I'm sure he's also the Texans. Oh gosh, I feel bad for any player that ends up on the Texans. I just don't even know what the heck's going on. I mean, I think that I actually think there's still a chance that Deshaun Watson stays with the Texans, especially if they say with all the bad press that's been going on, they just say, "Hey, Deshaun, sorry, you're right. Like we went a little off the rails. Like you basically pick our head coach for us. Like, and that would be the determining factor." Otherwise, I don't think he's going to stay, but I think there's a chance. But I would feel so bad for Stafford if he went down to the Texans, the brand new. But I don't think he'd do that because why is he leaving? Why would he go to the Texans when he's leaving the Lions, who are basically going through the same exact thing?
I think the Lions just don't want him anymore, and I think he's ready for something different. I don't know how much say he really has either. I mean, it's not like he has a no trade clause. I don't think.
I would feel bad for him if he went to like the Falcons. That would suck.
Well, they'd have to move on from Matt Stafford, and honestly, the
Matt
two
Ryan.
of them are
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
Matt Ryan.
Matt's,
Yeah.
You got one Matt, you got all Matts.
Yeah. But they would have to move on from Matt Ryan, and they're not the same quarterback, but in terms of eliteness, they're pretty much right next to each other. I mean, Matt Ryan's been an MVP of the league before, so. But that would be, if I were Matt Stafford, I would want to go to the Falcons. I mean, that's a great offensive team, aside from Gurley. But
This one. What if the Cowboys decide to move on from Dak and get Matt Stafford instead? How about that down in Dallas?
I would love that for Matt Stafford, but that would be
too.
that would be such a bad decision.
Hey man, who knows how Dak's ankle got reattached and how that's going? I mean, that thing was completely off. Who knows how he's going to be afterwards?
Right on. Well, either way, I hope he lands somewhere and is successful because I always root for the franchise guys that stuck it out with their team for a long time and meant a lot to that city, and then it just either father time or just a front office decisions making a move. I always root for those guys. I was rooting for Rivers last year. I was rooting for Cam last year. It's just one of those things. So,
yep.
All right, nice. Well, that'll do it for this episode. We'll be back at you again in a few days. I want to. There's tons of stuff I want to talk about. I want to talk about the Olympics coming up. That's the next thing I want to talk about.
If we even have an Olympics.
Oh, what a cliffhanger! What a great note to end on. All right, cut it. All right. So if you've listened this far, you must, for some reason, like what you've heard. So, given that, please remember to like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at ObsessionCast for all future episode updates and whatever else we might post, sports related or otherwise. Thanks for watching.